Hey, it's AuntieLan, and today I have a letter from Alexis. But first, let me let you know I'm getting low. I got a couple more in the queue, so I need y'all to write me some letters so I can give some answers. And subscribe so you can be notified and all that. Ooh, I did it on the front end. All right, so let's get to Alexis. She's been waiting a minute. Dear AuntieLan, my father and I have never really had a good relationship, and he basically disowned me this year and said I wasn't his daughter, not to speak to him, and that he didn't want to be in my wedding or anything of the sorts. I'm wanting to start a family, and I really don't think I want my future children to be around someone like him if he decides he wants to come back around once I have kids, after everything that he's done and said through the years. The only thing about this is, I feel terrible for feeling that way and for planning to deprive him of seeing his grandchildren once I do have kids. I also don't want to make my kids grow up not knowing their grandfather. I don't know what to do. Do I just wait around for him to change his mind and let him back in again? Or do I do what I think is best, even if it is a little selfish? If you actually read all that, thank you. And thank you for any advice you can give me. Alexis, of course, I read it. It wasn't even that long. So, familial issues are super hard because I'm of the mind that not all family is good to have in your immediate sphere all the time. Because as people, just like people who aren't family can be toxic, family can be toxic to us. And it's good that, we are inclined to try and stay connected to our families and work on those relationships. Like, obviously, that should always be our go-to. Now, I don't know the extent of the negative association with your father. Like, if this has been going on your whole life. I mean, you say you have never really had a good one, and it looks like, I guess, he has disowned you a few times. And so I think that if that's been the pattern and the habits, and you've been struggling with that for a long time, if things aren't better between you when you have your children and begin your family, then you have to do what's right for your family and what's really right. Like, so I don't think that you should consider protecting your children from what could be a toxic energy or emotional or mental abuse. I don't think you should consider that selfish if that's really what's at stake. If it's not as extreme as that all the time, then maybe there's room. But I think the important thing to even know if there's room is what kind of repair you and he can do in the interim, like before you even have children. No clue how far into your future that may be, but also consider, who he is as a person. And if you feel like it would be harmful for your children to be around him. But be honest with yourself about that. So I'm gonna pull a little bit out on the idea of selfishness, because I want you to hopefully really assess where the toxicity lies within the relationship between you and your dad. If it's not to the extent that you believe that he could be harmful to your children in a real way, and that maybe you are holding your relationship or things that you experienced at the fore, then that's something to consider, right? Like, you want to make a decision like that. That's a pretty big decision, which is why you're asking it and why you're thinking about it and why you're going back and forth to cut someone off from their grandchildren. That's a serious decision to make. So you want to make sure that you're being honest and realistic about what's really going on between the two of you, and if it deserves that type of clear and sharp line. Because it may not. And I think that your uncertainty suggests there could be room for improvement, and he might be a great grandfather. You know what I mean is awesome. He could be a great grandfather, but that's not what I meant. So it's important that you really evaluate that for yourself and talk with your spouse to be, your fiance. Include them in this decision and discussion and your experience. I think that's important, and they may be able to help, and they may have some insight. I'm assuming at some point they've witnessed how you and your dad interact, and how they feel about that. So that could be valuable in your decision making, which they should be a part of anyway. Because I get it. What we all wish for, the grandparent relationship is a very special thing in theory, and for a lot of people, but because it's a special thing as an idea, we all kind of hope for that, hope for our children to have that and for their children to have that, etc. It's a special kind of relationship. So I get the conundrum, but it's important that you protect your children first. As important as it is for you to be honest about if that level of protection is really necessary, right? You want to be fair to him, to them. To them. I don't know, I don't know how fair you want to be to him, but it just depends. But if there's space to try and repair, you should give it a shot. Yeah. Thanks for writing to me. I hope that there was something useful in that. Family's tough. I know it. So good luck. And I hope everything works out. Okay, I said all of the subscribey stuff on the front end. And so that's all I got. Y'all have a good day.